Truth be told, I never gave the Sega Genesis much of a chance as a kid. I always considered myself a Nintendo kid since those were the systems I owned. But when I finally got around to getting a Genesis late in its life cycle, I was genuinely shocked at just how many games I was missing out on that were only on the Genesis. My all-time favorite easily being World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. Yes, I'm aware that Castle of Illusion is the one that everyone loves, but I never got to play that game as a kid. Instead, World of Illusion had just arrived at my video store, and I was more than happy to try it out. World of Illusion has you choosing either Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse to set off on a super magical journey through wherever they are. It's never really explained. I guess Mickey and Donald were doing a magic show and the evil Pete decided that instead of killing them right then and there, he should send them off to a magical world where they have to work together to escape. I guess it makes sense if you're a Disney fan, but honestly it didn't matter since the story's just there so the developers could make some super cool levels. And they did just that. World of Illusion impresses the minute you start playing with some really great graphics. And not like great for Genesis graphics either. The game just looks amazing. It just goes to show what the Genesis could do when developers knew how to use the limited color palette that the Genesis had. Every stage pops with an unforgettable look that I can still picture to this day even without playing the game for years. And while the characters may not have been as animated as something like Aladdin on the Genesis, they still look great and had a ton of variety in what animations they do have throughout the game. Needless to say, the game looked amazing, and I would still argue that it's one of the best looking Genesis games ever made. But any game can look amazing and quickly get turned off if it plays like a turd, right? Thankfully, World of Illusion mostly delivers in the gameplay department as well. Mickey and Donald are basically the same character, and can run and jump with the best of them, though they kind of have a floaty feel to them when they jump. You attack by using your magic blanket, which will cause enemies close to it to turn into a dove or a playing card. Get it? Like magic? Whatever. Personally, I would have rather been able to jump on enemies like in Castle of Illusion, since using the blanket never feels satisfying like you want it to. The game also uses the magic theme in other ways as well. Like, once you beat a boss of the stage, you get a new magic power that you'll be able to use in the next stage, like flying on a magic carpet or swimming in a bubble. Unfortunately, you can't use these powers when you want to, and it just sort of happens when the game decides to use them. It also doesn't change how the game is really played, besides a couple of small parts in the game. It's just a different way of moving forward. I guess if you're going to base a game around magic, you gotta use it somehow, but I just wish it added more to the actual gameplay. For the most part, all of this makes the game fun enough by yourself, but the game really shines in the gameplay department when you get a friend to play with you. Once you get 2 players in the game, things actually change a good deal. The game now requires you and your friend to work together to get past the stages by working cooperatively. You'll need to do things like use your friend to jump up to higher ledges, then pull him up using a rope. There's also a part where you have to time your jumps on a minecart to move, and even parts of the stages where the 2 of you are separated and have to advance using each other's help. It's pretty neat to actually have a cooperative game that made you, cooperate, instead of just tossing in another player with no rhyme or reason. The game even went so far as to completely change the layout of some stages to make cooperative play necessary to progress that wasn't there when you played the single player. This is what I remember most about the game, and it's still fun to play with a friend even today. So with all this praise, World of Illusion must be the best game ever, right? Well, no. The game has some unfortunate issues all over the place. The aforementioned movement of the characters never quite feel right, especially when trying to make precise jumps. Also, the game's super easy, providing no challenge until the very last boss, and even he isn't that hard. The lack of challenge definitely hurts when you realize the game is pretty short as well. You can easily beat it in about 40 minutes since you can just blow past enemies and bosses with little issue. I know the game was probably targeted at kids, but even as a kid I thought the game was too easy. But I guess it was fun while it lasted, and it was always fun to pull out when friends came over back then. Even with its flaws, World of Illusion is still one of my favorite Genesis games ever. It was everything that I'd wanted in a Disney game on the Super NES, but I never got. It also showed me that I should definitely take a much closer look at the games I may have been missing on the Sega Genesis. From that day forward, the Genesis wasn't the system off to the side collecting dust. Instead, it proudly sat right next to the Super NES, usually with a copy of World of Illusion in it.